Even when it comes to the greatest anthology series of all time, it's very hard for every episode to be just a complete banger. I think that if most of them are good, then you're talking about a great series. And in Amazon's Secret Level, I found all of them to be really good, maybe except for one, just to be kinda okay. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, let me back it up a bit. Amazon Prime's Secret Level is an anthology series featuring original stories set in video game properties created by Tim Miller, who is also responsible for another anthology series that I love very much, Love, Death, and Robots. As a gamer, when this one's announced, I've been waiting for this for a while now. To me personally, it didn't really disappoint. Something about it being an anthology kinda set my mind in a specific way to kind of give it leeway to kind of do whatever it wants with the properties, because they're just going to be short episodes. There's going to be no harm, no foul. Whatever happens is going to stay in this, as long as they do my favorite rule, do cool shit. So it's not like any of this is actually canon. So I took the episodes for what they are, just fun stories within these worlds. They do provide different art styles, but they did a good job in picking that art style that fits the game. I did feel like most of them felt like PS5 cutscenes. So in watching these back to back, it kind of gave me a little bit of nostalgia, like when I used to watch E3 back in the day. You know, those trailers that actually ended up looking nothing like the video game at all. That's basically what the visuals of the shows are. But they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. I thought it was dope. I don't really recall any episode disappointing in that front. Maybe there's one episode that I might question the art style because the game that they chose is just so wild and it doesn't fit. It's a very interesting choice. I question it, which makes me think, which I like, but I'm not disappointed in it. Episodes are ranged from 5 minutes to 16, which I saw a lot of people bitch about online, saying that the episodes were too short, which I see that as a good thing because you're telling me you want more. There's one episode specifically that I'm like, yes, that was way too short because what I was watching was really, really badass. Give me more. So as all these stories take place within video game worlds, do you need to know anything about the games to enjoy the show? Absolutely not. Not all characters are the main characters from the games, and the way they tell the story is very easy and concise and simple to understand. I mean, the stories are just basically finding excuses so that the characters can fight each other, which I found the fighting and the choreography for the fighting really, really fun. It's like they stay within the world. You're not going to see a mech do kung fu. That doesn't make any sense. I could be wrong. Maybe there was a couple things that I didn't catch, but I didn't notice anything or caught any character doing anything that I wouldn't really expect them to do within their world. Again, maybe except for one, which is the same one that I was kind of questioning before. But I'm not gonna lie, it does help to know your stuff from that world, because I got excited when you see a recognizable item from the world. You're like, oh yeah, I remember playing with that, whatever it is. I was also very surprised at the games that they actually picked to do stories from. Most of them I consider to be kind of lesser known series that maybe casuals might not recognize. I consider myself a gamer who plays all kind of things. I don't just stick to one genre. If it looks interesting and cool to me, I'm gonna play it. Whether it's old, new, I don't give a shit. And I think my video game knowledge is pretty extensive, if I do say so myself. So I was a little surprised when I actually found out that there was 2 properties that I had no clue as to what the hell they were. I'd never heard of them in my life, which I have an excuse for one of them because it was literally brand new and it got announced the same day that the last chunk of the second half episodes came out. And the other one was apparently a gigantic MOBA PC game that I've never heard of. There were 15 episodes, and I'm going to do just a little quick rundown of the episodes, mainly just to mention the IPs. It started off pretty strong with Dungeons and Dragons. Looked cool, fun fighting. The only negative about this episode is that it ends with blue balls. I did not like that. Like, it builds up to this gigantic fight and then it cuts off. I wish I could have seen that fight. That kind of annoyed me. The second one was Sifu, which looked great. It fits that world. And again, they kind of did something kind of similar. Like, the big fight was done off screen, which that also gave me blue balls. Back-to-back episodes with blue balls, I was starting to get concerned for the series. Then we got episode 3 with the New World game. This is a PC game that I actually had to Google. I remember seeing it. I never played it before. but I wasn't completely oblivious about it. The logos and the gameplay, it looked recognizable to me, and I think this might be the funniest episode from the whole series. There was a special guest that I'm not going to spoil who it was. He was actually pretty great. It was funny to hear him try not to sound like himself throughout the whole episode. I liked it. Episode 4 was Unreal Tournament. I used to play with my cousin this thing all the time, so I recognized a bunch of gear, I recognized a bunch of weapons. This was one of the longest episodes, clocking in at 18 minutes, and it was just pure fun. They're just fighting the whole time. Episode 5 was Warhammer 40k. I think this is top 2 best episodes in the whole series. It's just tank looking dudes just demolishing shit. It's really fun. They barely even talk, and when they talk, they kind of repeat the same thing a couple times. But the whole episode is them just ripping shit to shreds with their saw swords and guns, and it was just pure testosterone fun gore. Episode 6 was Pac-Man. This was the one that's really weird. It's kind of sick. It's also kind of twisted, but the episode made me think. I love when things make me think, something I don't do often. But it was weird to see Pac-Man in this light. It's very, very strange. But I actually liked it. It's a different take. I mean, we've seen Pac-Man the same way forever. And the way that they did the episode was kind of like, whoa, okay. It's weird. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it was actually pretty fun. Episode 7 was Crossfire. I really liked the concept of this episode. Like, there's no actually bad guys. Both teams are just doing their thing. So I enjoyed that episode as well. Episode 8 is Armored Core with our Lord and Savior Keanu Reeves. This was just pure fun, mech shit, explosions, fight. It was great. Episode 9 was The Outer Worlds, and it was really cool to see the very specific art style and vibes that Outer World has within the visuals of this show, which were pretty similar to the rest, but they had a different feeling to them. I feel like a lot of the episodes from the first half are very similar, and then the second half, visually, they took more risks in the differences, I think. And Outer Worlds I found to be visually interesting. The main guy looks like he's got a really big head, but other than that, it was really cool, and the story was decent. There was actually no like ripping heads off or anything. Well, kinda, but not really. It was a fun episode. Episode 10 was Mega Man. This was the one that was super short, and it was super fun, and it was super badass. Yeah, it's way too short. You can't give us 5 minutes of Mega Man, man. It was really cool. It was really quick. It leaves you wanting more. I would even be down to watch a whole series or a movie like this. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really cool. It was just a different take on Mega Man, and maybe fans don't like that. I thought it was pretty cool. Episode 11 is Exodus. This is the brand new IP I was talking about. The episode is not like obviously one of the greatest ones of all time, but I think it did enough to pique my interest to want to know what the hell this game even was. So immediately after this ended, I had to Google, and I found out that the trailer and gameplay dropped the same day as the second half of the episodes of the show. Obviously, the game looks more fun than the show did. In the show, it just looks like just another space story, and I guess so does the game to an extent. But the game looks fun. This looks something I would be willing to check out. It was giving me really, really fat Mass Effect vibes. So I'm going to keep an eye on that game as well. Episode 12 was Spelunky. This one was very cute as hell. And again, I felt like within the context of what we're doing in this anthology, that art style kind of felt that it fit the Spelunky verse as well. Episode 13 was Concord. R.I.P. Rest in peace. You know, immediate Guardian vibes. And it feels like there was also some potential to do some cool stuff within this world if it was like dealt with properly. But I mean, we already know that with the greed that happened with that game, it's just like, no way. There was like enough world building where you could have something awesome if you would have just changed the gameplay and just changed the whole game, I guess. Straight up Guardians ripoff on this episode. Episode 14, this is the game I had no idea what the hell this was. Honor of Kings. And this is the episode I liked the least. Not because I knew the least about it, it's just because it's a little meh. Like, they're just basically playing chess the whole time with cool visuals around it. It's not a bad episode, it's just the worst one. And then the last one is called Playtime. And even though I liked it, it was really cool, it kind of pissed me off a little because they did some shady shit with this one. It's basically a Sony PlayStation commercial, a very fun Sony PlayStation commercial, But if you saw the damn trailer for this show, you will probably specifically remember Kratos being in the damn show.
Boy.
And Kratos appears in this episode. Unfortunately, he is one of the many PlayStation IPs that they use for this episode. So the episode is not about him. It's about this other girl who's just being chased by a handful of PlayStation IPs. Again, really cool, but I wanted to see Kratos kill some fools, and I didn't got that. Instead, I got this girl riding a bike. It just felt kind of cheap and kind of bamboozled, and I feel played from the trailer, the way that they used Kratos. That was some bullshit. But again, the episode's not bad. But overall, for this show, it feels like, for the most part, they understood the properties that they were messing with, which is very important when you do anything video game wise. Again, maybe there was things that they were done out of pocket that I didn't catch. Of course, let me know down in the comments. I really love anthologies, man. I feel like those are the most easiest things to watch because it's one simple story. You don't have to remember what happened last episode. It doesn't matter what happened in this episode for the next episode. So it's some of my favorite things to watch and review. But immediately after this thing was over, I couldn't help but to think, what games could they do for season 2? I would love to see something BioShock. I mean, there's so much you could do with that. You could just have 15 minutes of a Big Daddy chasing you. Number 2, Shadows of the Damned. That is just a very fun world with a specific art style, with a very charismatic main character. And he's Mexican, I think, or Latino at least. And it'd be fun to see something done with more with that world. I was thinking about Lollipop Chainsaw, or something in No More Heroes. Those are also very fun worlds to explore. There's a lot to chew on there. You can do something with the zombies in Lollipop Chainsaw. You can have a whole battle versus an assassin in No More Heroes. Also, because of the different art styles, I thought of Voodoo Vince. This was an original Xbox platformer. And I'm very sad that Microsoft never did anything with that character. He seems very cool, but I thought like of an episode where somebody's got like the magic pin and he's trying to get it back or something. Also, something in the Nier universe fits awesome with this art style and what the type of stories you could tell. And finally, just an Among Us episode I feel like would be very, very fun. Whoever liked that game also spent probably countless hours of watching people play it on YouTube. So I don't see why it wouldn't work as the show. As you can tell, I try not to pick titles that everybody knew. I was trying to pick things that interest me and were kind of more lesser known things, following kind of like the pattern that they did in this first season. But of course, let me know down in the comments what games you would like to see for season number 2. And what did you think about Amazon Prime's Secret Level? Do you even want to see a season 2? Did you absolutely hate it? Did they disrespect any of the characters by your standards? Any and all thoughts, let me hear them down in the comments. And while you're down there, you can feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you.